it's just really the best of all worlds, though added weight is not great just by itself. You don't want a heavy vehicle just for the sake of how it rides. You want it to be balanced, and having the batteries underneath the cabin here definitely do balance out that weight. Hey gearheads, and welcome to Garage Talk. I'm Corey, and this is perhaps the best EV SUV on sale here in 2025. This is the recently updated 2025 Hyundai IONIQ 5 in its top limited trim. This nearly $60,000 electric crossover really has made an impression on us living with it here on our home turf for a week. What small upgrades made a huge difference? Well, stay around and I'll take you on a full tour. Okay, first things first, I do want to say a huge thank you to Hyundai for not only bringing this one to us to test for a full week, but giving us a first drive opportunity a couple months ago by flying Holly and I out to California to really sample this. Living with this on our home turf has revealed some things. There have been some small incremental upgrades to the 2025 model year, and I think it just makes the best even better. So yes, big thanks to Hyundai for bringing this one to us. As per usual though, we will start under the hood. We don't have a gasoline engine under the hood here, but what we do have, dual electric motors in this all-wheel drive model and a larger battery that charges quicker. But before we talk about all that, I do want to talk about how there is actually some storage, underneath the hood here. You can store your adapters if you need to, because this does come with several charge adapters that we'll talk about later. Just some small knickknacks under this weather-tight plastic cover. But yes, this is a dual motor all-wheel drive that gets a new improved battery. The battery size has been increased to an 84 kilowatt hour battery, and the power still remains the same at 320 horsepower and 446 pound-feet of torque, putting power down to all four wheels thanks to those dual motors and their HTRAC branded all-wheel drive. With that larger battery, we do get more estimated range, though the EPA rates this particular one at 269. We have seen up to 322 on a full charge. Again, all that depends on exactly how you drive it. I think the range discussion is the wrong discussion. I think we should be talking about city efficiency, highway efficiency, and battery capacity, and allow the consumers to do the math themselves. So 84 kilowatt hour battery, we are currently averaging 3.4 miles per kilowatt hour. You do the math, I'll put that on the screen. That's what you can expect. Again, at highway speeds though, you are going to see a diminished return on that, just something to keep in mind. But in our city driving, 3.4 miles per kilowatt hour, which is really good. Closing the hood here, not a lot has changed to the style. This is still the same design that we have loved for a few years now. It's that kind of retro future combination that works very well. We have those pixelated LED headlamps and running lights, turn signals, and the very boxy design that really has worked for so long in the automotive world, brought to a more modern touch. So this really does pull on design cues from 80s model Hyundai vehicles, and I think it definitely shows. We still get full width LED lighting here in this gray panel. I can actually see it on right now, but really hard to tell in the bright sunlight. Just cleaned up looks to the front here, slightly reworked front bumper. We do have these two panels here that do open when the battery needs cooling. Typically, if I were sitting here with the air conditioning on, those would open up to allow additional cooling, but they do close for better efficiency. And this is a very sleek design. Even though it's very angular, it's very sleek, very smooth. I think it works quite well. Okay, yes, the design of the front, very retro, future forward, and I love it, though it is not completely perfect. I think we took a step back with the wheel designs for 2025. The last model we tested here on the channel for a full week was another limited model that had a cooler wheel design that kind of looked like inverse saw blades. These are nice, they're okay, but they are definitely more aerodynamic in focus versus overall style. Definitely not my favorite, but it still works. You can see as we pull up to them, our limited model is wearing 20-inch wheels and tires wrapped in those Michelin Primacy Tour All Seasons. We'll talk about how those work here in just a little bit when we are actually driving it. We do have full 360 cameras. We have parking sensors front and rear. Lots of good visibility on this EV. As we pull around to the side, the profile, the biggest change really is those wheels. No surprise here, that is typically something that gets updated in a mid-cycle refresh. Otherwise, very clean, very handsome design. I really like the silver lower cladding on this one versus all the gloss black. Typically, EVs or SUVs go with a black lower cladding to give it a more rugged look. This really is more a tall car than it really is an SUV, even though, yes, that is what Hyundai classifies it as. But I like the silver versus black because I am not taking this particular model off-road. You'll have to go watch our XRT video. As we get back here to the back, I will lament a little bit that this is not perfect in the modern world just yet, but it has been updated to fit the modern world in our charge port here. I'll open the charge port and you will see this is the first non-Tesla vehicle to wear a NACS adapter natively, or NACS plug natively, opening up the over 15,000 Tesla superchargers across the nation, and does allow you to go more places more quickly, more easily, without fear of the dreaded empty battery or depleted battery. So definitely allows you to go a lot further. I did mention earlier, this is EPA rated at 269, but we are seeing somewhere around 322 on a full charge. Still very impressive. And then you may have noticed these sitting down here. We come with adapters because, well, again, it is being adapted for the modern world. So you can see we have a NACS to J1772. This is what we've been using for our home charging. And then here we have our NACS to CCS plug. That this actually gives you the faster charging speeds because this is capable of charging over 250 kilowatts. And to get that, you need to not be on the supercharger network. You need to be using that adapter at, say, an Electrify America or an Iona 250 plus kilowatt charger, and that will give you the best charge speeds. This will go from 10 to 80% in 20 to 30 minutes, depending on what network and how you are charging. So just something to note there. Yes, it isn't completely foolproof in the charging. Another slight misstep by Hyundai, the charge port. It's on the wrong door. So many Tesla superchargers have the shorter cables because all Teslas have their charge port on the back driver side. And here you can see we are on the back passenger side. So Tesla has said they are going to update and put longer cables on all of their superchargers. But until that happens, you're going to be awkwardly taking up two spots, which we did last time we had a Ford F-150 Lightning. Just something to note, something to be aware of if you can't get the one on the end. Coming back to the back, again, slightly reworked styling back in the rear for 2025. The most obvious telltale sign that we are in a 2025 is a much needed addition in this rear window wiper. The last time we had an IONIQ 5 for a full week, it rained on us quite heavily, and that is something that I very instantly knew was missing. So did customers, so did Hyundai, and they rectified that here for 2025. The biggest, smallest changes are the rear wiper and that new NACS plug that really make this more livable. Otherwise, slightly reworked bumper design, reworked lighting, very cleaned up look. I like it a lot. We do have a power hatch liftgate back here. Does have the smart key access system. If I did not have the vehicle running, you could just walk up to the back of the vehicle with the key in your pocket, on your person, wherever, and it would beep a few times at you and then open up completely hands-free. No need to dance or gyrate under the rear bumper to get that open. When you do get it open, you get a decent amount of cargo space. It's really quite roomy here. It's actually slightly more rear cargo space than the larger Blazer EV from Chevrolet. Though when you fold the rear seats down, the longer Blazer EV does have more total storage space, but it's all here and there depending on how you use your vehicles. Can see we have that sloped roof line that does cut into the storage a little bit. If this were more of a traditional squared off SUV look, I do believe we would have more storage space. But what you see is not all that you get, because we do have this little loop here with some underfloor storage. You can see that is where our home charger is right now. We have not actually been using this. We've been using our charger provided to us by Electron. Further underneath the cover here, we do have some more additional storage. I'm actually going to pull my backpack out to show you a very unique feature of this rear cargo shelf, because you can pull it forward just a little bit and then lift it up and slide it into these slots. And now you can access underneath here just fine. You can see it is sound deadened, so we do have this nice material here for sound deadening, but you can see no spare tire back here. We just have some additional electronics. We also have that tire mobility kit, because again, no spare tire, but you do get a little more storage down here, back here, for some additional items like your chargers, like your adapters. This is typically where we have kept those two adapters during our week of using it. And then you can simply just pull that out, slide it back into place. I do like how this part is hinged, allowing you to get under that section right there. We cannot fold the 60/40 seats down from here. You have to do that from the side of the vehicle, which I'll show you in just a moment. And then our button to close the hatch is right there. I've got plenty of room underneath it at 5'10", and that was as wide as it gets, but it closes quite nicely and quickly, not leaving you stranded waiting for it too long. Before we climb inside this one, I did want to show you the key. It's Hyundai's new key. It is their logo when turned sideways, but you can see we get a plethora of buttons, not only here on the front, but on the side, if we can get a focus there. And they include your lock, unlock, your remote start, which we're going to go ahead, hold this button here for a remote start. We get a few flashes of the lights. No big loud noise from an engine firing up, because again, EV. And then these buttons here on the side are the remote smart park system, which allows you to move the vehicle forward or backward without being in the vehicle itself, which comes in handy if, say, somebody is parked too closely to you and you need to just scooch the vehicle forward or backward to get in it or out of it. Really do like this feature quite well. It is a very nifty feature that you don't realize you need until you realize you need it. Very nice. It also works in tight parking garage spaces, so you city dwellers, this may come in handy for you. And then it comes with a really cool feature that I really like that you'll see when we get in. So I've already remote started the vehicle. It is on and running. As I approach the vehicle with the key in my pocket, usually, I don't know why it's not working right now, the handles will present themselves, but you can also push that spot right there. The handles present themselves and the vehicle is unlocked. You can see we do have the green and cream interior here on this one, which I really like. When you remote start it, as I did, and then just get in and sit down, it knows the key is in here. There's no need to push the engine start button, but you can if you'd like. Though when you do, you power the whole vehicle off, and you can see all the goodbye messages from Hyundai there. You can see we are charged quite well right now, but go ahead, put my foot back on the brake, start it up, and all the welcome animations come here. You can see we have depleted our range just a little bit by sitting here with the AC on, which is bringing that down. But talking about style, we'll go ahead, zoom out here. The sage green, slightly different design here on the inside. We get this green upper, this cream lower down here. We do have ambient backlighting running the width of this armrest back here. And you can see you can store items back here through the width of the armrest as well. You get physical buttons for all your windows and your mirror controls, which I really like. We have an electronic lockout for those rear windows for families with young kids. Just something to note there. We do have two-person memory for the driver's seat, and I didn't even show you because I wanted to hop in quickly before the vehicle powered down on me. We have multi-way adjustments here. We have lumbar, you have your backrest, your seat bottom, then you've got these buttons here for your relax mode, if that is what you want to do, where the seat will go back into a relax mode and put out this leg rest right here. So power extending leg rest, leg support that will come in handy when you are charging this. Again, you can go from 10 to 80% in about 20 minutes, depending on how you are charging. We do have these H-Tex covered seats here with the pixelated pattern repeated in the seats and down the seats right here. They're heated, they're ventilated, and as I mentioned earlier, they have two-person memory for the driver's seat. As we get in, we don't have the Hyundai logo here on the steering wheel. We have the Morse code for H. They are illuminated LED backlit, and they will change based on your drive mode, which is really cool. All your typical controls here on the steering wheel, your ADAS, your controls here for the screen. You can display multiple different things back behind the screen in the center section here, but we typically keep it right there because we do have a very useful head-up display that shows you your lane tracing information, your blind spot indicators, a lot of different information, including the posted speed limit right there on the head-up display, which I like a lot. Another update, we have a camera watching us, paying attention to make sure the driver is aware of the road conditions. So that camera is there, again, keeping track of the driver's attention span. Over here, we have all of our light controls and our blinker. Over here, we have all our wiper controls, including our new rear wiper. Down here, you actually have your drive indicator or drive stalk, so you can twist it there for drive or put it in reverse. That way, when you do put it in reverse, you get good 360 cameras in this, multiple different positions, including a 360 view of your car that you can pan around. I say it every time I get in a Hyundai, Genesis, or Kia product that features this, the compute power necessary just to be able to quickly flick around the vehicle on this screen is quite impressive. If you know anything about electronics, that is some pretty heavy lifting from the electronics right there. One last thing, I did want to show you the drive modes. You can see here we have 5 different drive modes: Eco, Normal, Sport, My Drive, and Snow mode. We've typically kept it in normal during our course of driving. And then again, you can see we are at 99% with 309 miles of range. As I said earlier, we did see up to 322, though the EPA rates this at 269. Quite the discrepancy there. Very interested to see why there is such a big discrepancy there. But I do believe this number is more accurate based on our average and the total battery size. We have this 12.3 inch gauge cluster here, a 12.3 inch screen here for infotainment. This does have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. It is wireless. I do currently have it turned off, but we'll show you that just before we set off in this one. I do like all the different colors, textures, and materials here. We have some textured plastic here, some soft touch, some faux stitching up here, different colors, different looks. It just keeps it visually interesting without being overly busy. Really do appreciate the simplistic but elegant design in here. We still get a home row of buttons. We get volume and tuning knobs. We get some haptic touch areas that, yes, there is quite a bit of glare on right now for your HVAC, but it works quite well. Dual zone HVAC, really do like that. Moving down a little bit further, you can see we have some storage down there, USB inputs for if you want to plug in to CarPlay and Android Auto. You can actually toggle that to just be battery power as well. Then we have this center console island. We have our Qi wireless charger, 2 cup holders, a bunch of physical buttons for your heated and ventilated seats, heated steering wheel, quick access camera button right there, your parking sensor defeat right there. All very nice, very quick and accessible right here on this floating island that is movable. So there is a handle right here that you can pull and slide this entire center console forward and back, so you can have more space here for a large bag or some items, or you can slide this forward and have a better access to your armrest. It does open up to a slightly small center console, but the whole thing lifts up to give you this large access here that is mostly covered. And you can see we've got some items down here in it. We've even put to-go food containers down here. You can see we also have 2 USB-C battery-only ports, so no interface with the infotainment. That is simply for battery power here on this center console. Like the storage options, we also get large storage in the door. I already showed you that big handhold there. And then we get a unique glove box. It's a very deep well with a little bit of storage here in the door, which is nice as well. So all around, good storage options, very unique storage options up front here. We do have a rear view camera mirror. That camera is actually mounted outside the vehicle on the rear hatch, on the rear spoiler of the rear hatch. And unfortunately, because it is out and exposed to the elements, it does get a little dirty from time to time and can hamper your view back here. I wish they had put it behind the glass so that you could take advantage of that new rear wiper. Moving up further, we have all of our LED lighting controls, and then you can see we have a massive panoramic glass roof. Not a sunroof, it doesn't open, but we do have a split opening sunshade. That is very nice. It powers open and close very quickly. And the tinting on the glass roof is dark enough that even here in East Texas, it doesn't get overly hot. You can see me at 5'10". I've got a decent amount of headroom, though that glass roof does kind of cut into it a little bit, having to have the roller shade here and all. But I've got plenty of space up front. Now let's check out the back seat, because there are some nice touches back there for rear passengers. As we approach the rear doors, we do not have that lock-unlock button that we saw on the front door, so you will have to unlock the front doors to get into the back. But when you do, very nice, very wide opening doors here, almost 90 degrees, which will allow you to get a child seat in. If you want to see me install that child seat via a POV view, you will definitely want to hit subscribe and check out our family review where Holly is driving and Tucker is riding in the back seat. One thing we absolutely love in family vehicles, built-in sunshades in the rear windows, and you can see the amount of coverage that you get from this sunshade is nearly 100%, but if you don't like that, you can simply drop that down. We get all the same accents, materials, and designs back here that we do up front, so that sage green, we get the cream. I didn't talk about it on the front doors, but it is repeated back here as well. Get a little bit of cloth here, a little bit of faux stone here with that pixelated pattern. Again, just the different uses of colors, textures, designs really works back here. You can see this is also where we get our two-stage heated outboard seat controls on the doors. Taking a look at the back seat, there is a lot going on back here, starting with the fact that I did mention, yes, it is a 60-40 split. You had to come to the side of the vehicle to fold that down to make the most of your cargo space. But you can fold that down from this handle right here, which serves as the recline handle. And unfortunately, I have to do this two-handed to set it upright. This is the most upright sitting position. You can see that is definitely not comfortable, but that's how I will climb in here and show you the rear seat in just a moment. We do have the all-weather floor mats in this one. They are a very unique rubberized look and material. Just set themselves apart a little bit in the material game as we look here. They are textured, which I really like. Coming into the back seat, you can see me sitting behind myself at 5'10". I've got plenty of room. We do have map storage nets on the backs of both front seats, which I like. The different use of materials and textures in here. You may be wondering, how does this work with Tucker, with the kid kicking the back of the seat? Well, I do appreciate the hard plastic down here, but we have this light colored cloth that could get a little dirty. You may have seen all the wear and tear on the front of the armrest there getting a little dark and dirty, but I don't really feel like too many people are going to be touching this here. The back of the center sliding console, we do have two more USB-C power ports and some additional storage down here for rear passengers. And then another thing I really like is the placement of the air vents on the B-pillars. It does allow for decent airflow and is necessary because this is a movable console. Just makes it that much easier for designers and engineers. Coming to the back seat, you can see we have a fold down center armrest with two cup holders. We do have a center headrest back here, but yes, you've probably been wondering, how comfortable am I in that seating position? Not very, so I'm gonna go ahead and recline the seat fully, and now I am very comfortable. I've got a lot of leg room because the wheelbase on this is actually longer than that of the Hyundai Palisade. Plenty of room in here, very comfortable. All around, a great interior in both rows of seats. Again, I have heated outboard seats here, which is very nice, but that does not conclude the story of the back seat, because we are 60-40 sliding back seats as well. So I can slide the seat independently of this 40% where Tucker's seat is, and it does allow for multiple different cargo configurations, different placements. Maybe you want a child seat a little bit closer so you can reach and access what's going on back here. All that can be done by sliding the seat forward and backwards. That is enough of a tour of this one. Let's set out and see how this one drives. Before I set off, as promised, I did want to talk about Apple CarPlay. Now, I am plugged in, and I typically do that just for the battery efficiency, but it is nice to have this Qi wireless charger here. You can see, as I did mention, it is wireless or wired, and it displays as you would expect. It's quick, snappy, very easy to use. I do like Apple CarPlay a whole lot. And then I can go back to my Hyundai screen here where I've got all my controls. Another thing I really like about the infotainment on Hyundai is Hyundai Pay is built into it, which again, I'm in guest mode, so I don't get access to that. But that allows you to pay for parking, for charging, store different payment methods actually in the vehicle itself. You also get Blue Link for the length of the time you own your vehicle. That is Hyundai's version of OnStar, basically. It's their connected services. So I really like that all of that is included when you purchase a vehicle from Hyundai. Otherwise, though, setting off in this one, you simply turn this forward for drive, backwards for reverse, and you can set off. Now, I really do like what Hyundai does with their regenerative braking. We get multiple different levels. I'm currently in max or I-pedal mode, which is one pedal driving, so I can come to a stop simply by lifting my foot off the accelerator, and it does a fairly good job of doing so. It comes to a nice smooth stop. But if I feel like I need more, I can step on the brake pedal myself. It is capturing as much energy as possible to put back into the battery down below me. Another great thing about EVs is you're not wearing down your brake pads as much because of that regenerative braking. You can adjust that through its multiple different levels, all the way from 0 up to max with these paddles right here. You can even hold both of them and it goes into an automatic mode, which uses its radar adaptive cruise sensors to adjust as you are cruising down the road to vehicles in front of you. Works really great in stop and go traffic. Not really an issue for me here on my test loop, but I'd say that is perhaps the best situation of all, is that automatic mode. All right, I do not have my 0 to 60 timer with me on this run because this is really not the performance vehicle variant of the IONIQ 5, but I am in sport mode. I'm just gonna move from the brake to the accelerator. Here we go. My goodness, that is surprisingly quick for not the sport mode. And there's 60 very quickly. Yes, not the sport model, sorry, I misspoke. But yes, there is a more athletic, more powerful version in the in model that slots up above this. In fact, they kind of separate it completely from the normal IONIQ, and it gets its own product designation page on Hyundai's website. If you are building and pricing on their website in IONIQ, you have to specifically search out for that N. Otherwise, there are now 4 trims for the IONIQ for 2025: SE, SEL, XRT, and this Limited. We did test out both this Limited and the XRT when Hyundai flew Holly and I out to Palm Springs. So you can go check out our first drive impressions of both of those. But interestingly enough, while we were on the Palms to Pines Highway outside of Palm Springs in California just a couple months ago, we were in decidedly un-California-like weather. In fact, we have more California-like weather here in East Texas as I'm reviewing this one than I did back then. We had ice, we had sleet, we had all kinds of different situations that we were driving through, and the IONIQ handled it quite well. Really do like the addition of the rear wiper. Haven't had to use it too much in our loan of it this time, but it is nice to know that it's back there. We also have that rear view camera mirror. Though, again, I mentioned that the camera is mounted outside and there's no way to clean it off other than to physically go back there and clean it off. Sitting back here behind the wheel and piloting this thing around, it is a very comfortable vehicle to pilot around. The extended wheelbase and the added low weight of the battery pack down below me here in the cabin mean that this is a very comfortable vehicle that rides like a much larger vehicle than it really is. The 20-inch wheels and tires do cut down on the overall range, Again, I've alluded to the fact that the EPA, I do believe, has this one mislabeled, but you can do the math for yourself. 84 kilowatt hour battery, 3.3 miles per kilowatt hour in our current testing, though we have seen up to 3.6 miles per kilowatt hour. You can figure it out from there. But yes, long wheelbase, low center of gravity, it rides very well. And interestingly enough, we are testing a Chevy Blazer EV during the same window of time that we have this. I actually do have a full head-to-head between this and that on the channel, but suffice it to say, that vehicle is about 8 to 9 inches longer, very similar wheelbase, and 900 pounds more of weight, and you can feel it. This does, of the two, feel like the lighter, more nimble EV of the bunch. It's not to say that it is light, because it does weigh about 5,000 pounds, but it is more nimble than that Blazer EV SS. We actually have the Super Sport version. So very impressed with how this handles. It is as car-like, as gas car-like as you can get from an EV driving experience from something that's not Tesla. It's very easy to slide into this IONIQ 5 from driving exclusively gas-powered vehicles and know your way around quite well. If you don't like the one-pedal driving, very easy to turn off with the paddles. I like how we have physical controls for practically everything in here, though we do have the touch controls for the HVAC. It's not super minimalistic like a Tesla, where everything is in the screen off to the side, including your speedometer. It really is as traditional a vehicle as you can get while still being EV. I appreciate perhaps that the most about Hyundai and their EVs. You can just pop in and figure it all out. It's very easy to get in and drive. In fact, they're putting this same drive selector in some of their gas vehicles. So again, a lot of the controls, a lot of everything is very reminiscent of their gas-powered vehicles as well. And then the overall ride, I have said it before, I will say it till I'm blue in the face, EVs make great luxury vehicles. I believe if there weren't EV mandates and everything that went on politically in the EV realm, I do believe more people would be demanding EVs or EVs to trickle down into non-luxury vehicles if we had done it the more traditional way of starting them out as luxury vehicles, because the price subsidies and everything like that, they are more expensive to produce outright from the get-go. But as production ramps up, as production on this has changed and moved to the new Meta plant outside of Savannah, Georgia, we are starting to see the benefits of the long-term lifespan of the EV product in general. It has gotten more affordable to produce, it's gotten more affordable to purchase. So all that is just the natural product life cycle. And just like many luxuries that we take for granted now in vehicles that started in the Mercedes-Benz S-Class, for instance. I mean, we have head-up display here in a Hyundai. We have digital gauges here in the Hyundai. We have ventilated seats. These are all things that started out as luxury features that have trickled their way down. I think if left to its natural devices, the whole EV gas debate would have trickled down like that, because they are a very luxurious riding vehicle. You have that instantaneous torque and power right when you need it, which works very well for zipping in and around traffic in town, but it also makes for a very smooth, seamless driving experience. You don't have to wait for a transmission to downshift before you can just set off and go. It really works well with the long wheelbase, the added room here on the inside, and the improved driving dynamics. Again, this rides like a much larger vehicle than it really is, because its wheelbase is so long, because it does have all that added weight, but in a low spot here in the vehicle, so you don't get a lot of body roll. It's just really the best of all worlds, though added weight is not great just by itself. You don't want a heavy vehicle just for the sake of how it rides. You want it to be balanced, and having the batteries underneath the cabin here definitely do balance out that weight. It all works very well, and in our week of living with it here in East Texas, I can say yes, this is my favorite EV that does not wear a Tesla badge for daily life, for family life. You've got all the comforts and conveniences in the back seat, a sliding back seat, 60/40 split bench, recline back there. You have the full glass roof up above me here. You've got all your digital displays, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. You've got a head-up display, a rear view camera mirror, sunshades in the back. Decent placement for rear air vents, all around good driving characteristics and driving dynamics. Very easy to adjust regenerative braking. Everything just works and works well here in this Hyundai IONIQ EV. And that really brings me back down to the price. This one is just under $60,000 as equipped. It is fully loaded. Sure, there are some dealer installed options I can add, like a roadside assistance kit, things like that, some rear cargo management, I'm sure. But yes, from the factory, this is as loaded as it gets, and it is so supremely comfortable in here. It is so nice. At $60,000, you are in the upper echelons of vehicles in this size class, though since Hyundai does classify this as an SUV and not a car, it's a little more on par with similarly sized vehicles, I would reckon. I would say this is a little bit more roomy on the inside than their Tucson gas-powered vehicle, but that is where it most closely aligns in their gas vehicle portfolio. I would say, though, at $60,000, you're getting quite a lot for not a lot of dough here in 2025. This really is a very well-rounded package all the way around. And if you don't need all the luxuries of this limited model, there are those 3 trims down below this that you might want to check out for yourself. Otherwise, that is it for my time here in East Texas in the 2025 Hyundai IONIQ 5 Limited all-wheel drive. If you want to know more from us, more from our family, what we're driving, you can find us on all social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok, Threads, YouTube, you name it. Everything is at GT Garage Talk, or you can go to gtgaragetalk.com, where you can read more about these vehicles, see more pictures of them, from them, and our time with them, and you will find links to everything that we do. You will want to go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below and ring the bell so you are notified when our family review drops, where Holly is behind the wheel and Tucker is back in his child safety seat. I actually do a POV install of that child safety seat, showing you just how easy it is for families to adapt to EV life thanks to Hyundai with this IONIQ 5. But until next time, gearheads, bye. One more thing I want to touch on while driving this is the visibility. Big windows mean it is quite easy to see all the way around me. I've got decently sized rear view mirrors. I've already talked about my rear view mirror camera back here. But if I have somebody in my blind spot, I get a visual warning on my head-up display here in front of me. If I put my blinker on, I get an auditory warning through the speakers, and the steering wheel vibrates as well. Not only that, but I have the cameras mounted on the rear view mirrors that when I do put a blinker on, it does give me a view of my blind spot there on that camera. So I typically do a sweep over my shoulder when I put a blinker on. I look at that camera, I check in front of me and all the way around me. Visibility in this really is quite excellent.